And welcome back to the First and Goal podcast. My name is Lewis, and next to me, as always, is my beautiful co-host Laraib. As we are here on the Monday morning following the Super Bowl to recap a truly terrific Super Bowl 58, where the Kansas City Chiefs defeated the 49ers in overtime, 25-22. When it has Mahomes and it has the Chiefs, the story usually ends the same way. Never a doubt. Never a doubt in that game. But wow, what a roller coaster of a game. So many ups and downs, changing of events, things, game plan decisions. And we'll get into all of it right here, Lara. But what are your first impressions? Just we're sitting here after the game, last episode of this season. How are you feeling?
Feeling awful, first of all, because as you know, our stipulations now, I have to purchase you a Kansas City Chiefs jersey, and you have
Ooh.
requested a Patrick Mahomes red Chiefs home jersey, and so be expecting that in a couple of months. And
All
second of
right.
all,
Yeah.
you always bring this up, never bet against Mahomes, and I starting to believe that fully in any
Mm-hmm.
circumstance. I mean, we're
Hey,
doing
I don't
this.
need you
We're
picking with me
we're
now.
doing this again next year, and best can believe Patrick Mahomes is going to be the guy I'm picking. I always love to go, oh, yes, come on, it's Lamar Jackson's years. None of these guys in the NFL can stand up to Patrick Mahomes and his greatness so far throughout his career.
No, I mean, you look at Mahomes and look at the rest of the quarterbacks in this league, and it's like, man, theirs don't stink like his does. Like he's just in a different ballpark from these fools. But we'll get into some more big picture next season stuff in a little bit. But as I mentioned, 25-22 the final score in overtime, only the second overtime Super Bowl in NFL history. And this one lives up to the hype. This was truly a Super Bowl. Last few years we've had some good games, but I think this is the best Super Bowl I've seen in a while, despite the big 28-3 comeback and obviously the Saints winning the Super Bowl. Um, but this was truly was an awesome game. Let's start with Kansas City. They win Mahomes Super Bowl MVP, and just the way the game flowed, like not at all how I expected. They go down early, 10-0 in the first half, make it their offense looked awful. 16 total yards in the first quarter. Just couldn't get out of their own way. We had the Isaiah Pacheco fumble after the Christian McCaffrey fumble. And honestly, going into the halftime 10-3, what seemed like a blessing for the Chiefs because there were so many opportunities for the 49ers to capitalize in that first half, and they simply couldn't get out of their own way either. So going into 10-3 was amazing. They go out 10-6, get the next touchdown, 13-10, and then we're trading field goals back and forth until we're in overtime when Patrick Mahomes sends it to Mecole Hardman for the game. Laura, Mahomes, Super Bowl MVP, just what about him in this game was so deserving of MVP in your opinion?
It, excuse me, was that last drive in overtime, right? 4th and 1, whose hands are the ball in? Patrick
Is
Mahomes.
mm-hmm.
And he takes it for an 8-yard rush, and after that crosses the midfield mark, and we were all sitting there and we knew, man, this thing is over. That excellence on that last drive, of course. Now, of course, he's going to win the MVP, but I think the real MVP of this game, Lewis, was that Kansas City defense. So many times throughout the game, they held this 49ers in check. I think Christian McCaffrey rushed for only maybe three and a couple yards, 3 point something per rush this game. They really bottled him up in what was supposed to be, a middle of the pack rush defense. They stepped up their game big time in this one. And so many times they were bend, don't break in that end zone. We thought with the closing moments, they were going to go ahead and score the go-ahead touchdown in overtime. And that Chiefs defense on 3rd and short, they Chris Jones gets in there, gets a hand in Purdy's face and disrupts the play once again. And that's what really kept this Chiefs team in the game.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned this defense deserves all the flowers. And who could have been on here to tell you that this defense was so underrated and the way that they, not even bend, don't break, but that's how it was. but just forcing teams to do what they did not want to do, bottling up the run. I mean, who could have come on here and predicted a game script like that? Um, but yeah, you mentioned it. You hold the Niners to 110 rushing yards in 5 quarters on 31 attempts. That's 3.5 yards per carry. Just stellar. And that kept forcing the 49ers into third and long. And I told you every single time we got into third and long as we were watching the game, I'm like, all right, here comes the punt. Because this 49ers offense is not used to operating in third and long situations, especially against a defense of the caliber as Kansas City Chiefs are. So it was just so many times the Kansas City Chiefs were forcing them to do things they did not like to do. And then obviously unfortunate things also happened for the Chiefs, like Dre Greenlaw tearing his Achilles running onto the field. Just sucks. You had a punt go off the ankle of a guy blocking on a punt return. That sucked, but ultimately that didn't really lead to any points anyway because Pacheco just fumbled. But I
No, that was the
mean,
touchdown. That was a touchdown.
oh yeah, I'm thinking of the Christian McCaffrey fumble. But yeah, you're right. So I mean, all these huge game-changing plays where honestly
The
starting to feel
Moody
like
missed extra
Shanahan,
point.
right? The blocked extra point as well. That that's the 1 point difference that we're going into overtime instead of going to 49ers Santa Clara for the championship parade. So yeah, I mean there were so many big plays in this game. I think the biggest play was 49ers had the ball past the 2-minute warning. It's 3rd and 6, and they decide to throw the ball there. I don't love the decision, but I want to go for the first down. I get it. It goes incomplete. That stand right there by the defense, which allowed, because I think if they get that first down right there, Laraib, Chiefs
Game's
have to burn a
over.
timeout. Chiefs have to burn a timeout on that play. So you have one timeout with a full set of downs. Probably burn another one. They get it down to seconds, and then you take the lead right there. I love Mahomes, but that's a pretty hard circumstance to get over. And, if they get another first down or a touchdown, then it's really over. So that stand on that play right there, following the 2-minute warning, all the hype. Oh my gosh, they're thinking so much. If we get this stop here, we could really get a chance to get us back in this game. And they freaking did it. So this defense, Steve Spagnuolo deserves all the credit in the world. It sucks that there wasn't one dominant guy or player who could have gotten the MVP. So honestly, that whole defense deserves the MVP because they played outstanding football, holding the 49ers to 22 points in overtime. But yeah, Mahomes had amazing plays down the stretch. And there was a feeling of inevitability, when it comes to Mahomes. And I was going through it. I'm not gonna act like I was sitting near Mr. Confident. Um, but when Mahomes got the ball in overtime, I want to ask you this question, Rob, because this has been a big point of contention this morning for what I've been saying so far in a lot of news cycles. So the 49ers win the toss, right? And they elect to receive. And conventional wisdom tells you, oh, you elect to receive. Perfect. Go down, go get points. And then if you score a touchdown, game's over. Well, that's not the case anymore. The new playoff overtime rules state no matter what you do, if you score a touchdown, go for 2, and you get it, they still get the ball back. The other team still gets the ball back. So I think it is an entirely disadvantaged situation to receive the ball first because you have no idea what you need to do. If you go down and score a touchdown, then Mahomes is like, all right, I need a touchdown and we can just get in this game. If you go down and get a field goal, then Mahomes is like, all right, I can go get a touchdown, but I can also, like, they know what to do. It's like a chess match. You're showing your move first. Whereas, you can take advantage if you go second because they're not as urgent. They're not as, inclined to go crazy, go aggressive, do things that to get them into scoring position. Whereas, and you're eliminating any error because Purdy almost threw an interception on that first drive in overtime, and that would have, boom, Chiefs in field goal position. All they need to do is score and win. Like, there were so many things there that put the 49ers at a disadvantage by going first. So I want to ask you, is it just, we thought we could score first, give our defense a break thing from Shanahan? Or do you think this was just an egregious error on his part?
Well, he came out and said, "Hey, if we went down and scored, and the Chiefs came back down and scored, then we would have that third possession to kind of, kick the last field goal to win the game." And so, from that perspective, it isn't
That's
that bad of
fair.
an idea. But I understand the argument that you're coming from, where hey, if the
I just think
49ers
there's too
go,
many things in those first 2 possessions where you're really banking on that third possession,
and it made it a lot simpler for the Chiefs, right? The 49ers team just came down and kicked a field goal. Now you know this Chiefs team has 4 downs to work with every single down up until they get into
And
field
the
goal
best
range
kicker in the
for the rest of the
NFL.
game. Exactly. And so it really opened up things for them a lot more. But I understand where Shanahan was coming from. His defense was playing really well to close out that fourth quarter. We just saw them to end regulation hold Patrick Mahomes to a field goal once again. And so if that's what Shanahan's thinking, hey, my defense can get a stop here, make them force a field goal, and then we go down and we can kick the game-winning field goal, and that would be the game. And so I understand where that was coming, but we've also seen a lot of reports, Lewis, where a lot of players didn't know what the overtimes rules were. The 49ers players. Now the Chiefs player will tell you, oh yeah, Andy Reid told us every single day what the rules were just because he's Andy Reid and we're the Chiefs. But this 49ers
Okay, but
team, like maybe they didn't
and
plan for
like
something like
you would
that.
have still kicked the field goal there if you're the 49ers. Like, are you telling me you would have gone for it if you didn't know on 4th and 4 or 4th and 6, whatever it was in that spot? Like, no. I mean, you're still making the same decisions. I don't know what knowing the rules would have changed for anything right there. So I think that's a pretty stupid point, if you ask me.
Um,
Um, but yeah, you go.
well, yeah, it's hard to disagree with that because, like you mentioned, what else would you have done differently? But also, I think it kind of gave them the sense of uncomfortability. You saw like a lot of players on the sidelines just really like, I don't know what's going on in the situation type of thing. And so I guess that just goes towards Chiefs game planning and just how well their organization is run. FU Kyle Shanahan.
I mean, what you're telling me from it seems like Kyle Shanahan bet against Mahomes in the final spots of the game. And that just seems to be the Achilles heel of almost every coach that they're going to face. 3 Super Bowl championships in his first 6 years, Laraib, for Patrick Mahomes. And in every single season he's played in, he's at least reached the AFC Championship, reaching the Super Bowl 4 out of his first 6 seasons. And he's now won 3. So I ask you first, Chiefs perspective, is this a dynasty?
Oh, most definitely. When you get to that many Super Bowls, when you've gone to 6 straight AFC championships, I mean, it's hard to say you're not.
You were always influencing the final part of the season no matter what. In my opinion, that's a dynasty. That means the AFC is dictated by you. If it's not won by you, it sure as hell is dictated by you because you're deciding who's getting in. So that's been the Chiefs this entire Mahomes career, which has felt like forever now. And he's just going to continue to go on this run. So, but the 3 Super Bowls in 6 years, I mean, you look at teams like go cross sport here, but the Warriors recently is probably the most recent sports dynasty we've seen, at least in terms of NBA, NFL, because that's what I speak. Me, you could argue Alabama, but that's collegiate. And then, you look at like the Patriots is like the last team you can think of, but that's like over 20 years. So I just think it's obviously a dynasty because of how dominant they've been for this stretch. And the wins just are the exclamation point at the end for what they've been for the NFL in the 2020s. Like in this whole era, we are in the Mahomes era right now. We've been in the Mahomes era. I said that after last season as well. And speaking for his perspective, Larab, this is his third win, his third Super Bowl MVP. And the stats are incredible come postseason time. He had a pretty bad pick in this game, but besides that, he's been pretty flawless the entire postseason. Um, I mean, at this point, I'm gonna say it again. I want this on record. He is the best quarterback I've seen play this sport. Purely that. Now, is he the greatest? No, that's still Tom Brady. Tom Brady has achieved greater things and is more accomplished than Patrick Mahomes, but purely as in every situation. If they're up, if they're down, game managing, game changing, every situation you need a quarterback to do. Running the ball, extending the play, standing in the pocket, making the right read, making the explosive play. He can do everything on the football field at an elite level. He is the greatest quarterback I've ever seen. At this point, the only person in my mind he is chasing is that man, Tom Brady. And Tom Brady it seems he's pretty impossible to beat. He has 7 Super Bowl rings, and who I doubt Mahomes will ever get there. As great as this early stretch has been for Mahomes, 7 Super Bowls is bananas. But if there's one man who can do it, it's Patrick Mahomes right now.
Yeah, and I don't want to be on the wrong side of history again. So let me just go ahead and just agree with everything you just said on Patrick Mahomes. It's hard to
Took you long
disagree the
enough.
greatness that we've seen from him, and I will be seeing it for a long, long time to come, Lewis. But I want to focus on this 49ers team real quick. A lot of free agents to be re-signed or missed this offseason. Chase Young has had a huge sack in this game. A lot of couple other guys, Lewis. What do
See
this
ya.
49ers team need to do to get back here but win it next time?
Well, if the biggest name you just told me is Chase freaking Young, then there's a good chance they'll be back in this conversation come next season. I'm looking at the odds. They are the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl next year. And, we talked about in our last episode about Brock Purdy's future as an NFL starter and what this game could potentially mean for him. I said no matter how he plays, he's guaranteed the starter next year. I think, we didn't really talk about this, but let's talk about it now. I think he played pretty well given the circumstance. He's not an elite creator like Mahomes is, and it's so difficult when it's like you're comparing quarterbacks and it's like you're directly comparing him to the guy he's playing against on the other side of the ball. But he was making plays. I mean, there were so many plays early on in the game where he was extending, he was getting those plays, but it would just be like unfortunate penalty or something called back or a batted ball or just a dropped ball by Debo, things like that. So I think he played very well. Now, I think he was a little tentative at times where he could have ran, but tried extending it, tried finding a guy. Um, it's the biggest spot in the game. You just got to go, and I think that'll come with experience. But I think now he's not extension eligible this season, and it kind of sucks after this long run of success to just all right, keep playing on your minimum wage contract for us again, and bring this loaded team to another huge postseason run. I think he deserves money. I wouldn't pay him top quarterback dollar, but if that's the market, that's a tough pill to swallow. But I genuinely think he is a high level quarterback in this league. I would put him somewhere in the 12 to 15 range of guys. I think he can win in this league with this roster. So I do expect this team to be back here. How do you think Brock played?
I think he played fantastic. Besides that one play in overtime that could have been intercepted, he really didn't put the ball in harm's way at all. Now, credit to the Chiefs secondary. Those receivers for the 49ers were not getting any separation at all. It was really on Juwan Jennings to work on that third string cornerback and do a lot of damage for them. And Kyle's Juszczyk coming out of the backfield to go out in those flat routes. And so credit to Purdy, he didn't put the ball in harm's way. He didn't wasn't, interception here that was, you could say, oh, this was Purdy's fault. We lost this game. I think he played really well.
Yeah, I mean, you asked Purdy to throw 40 times in the Super Bowl. You're asking a lot out of Mr. Irrelevant in this spot. I did not think he would be anywhere near 38 attempts. But, obviously overtime, things like that. But even the script, like they weren't able to run the ball that well. It was really on him to get things going late. And, shout out Jawan Jennings as well for a nice touchdown. But yeah, I think he deserves everything that he's going to get. 49ers, I think, are in a pretty good spot. They've drafted very well. There's a reason why they've been in this spot. They were against the Chiefs a few years ago. They're back here in this spot. And I think they're going to be, still in this range of contention for a while to come. But this was a very healthy year for them. Their division isn't getting any better. The Rams have a good young core, so they could potentially make some noise next season. Seahawks are getting much worse year by year. It's very sad, Laraib. And the Cardinals are the Cardinals. So I expect them to be back in the playoffs with a divisional round, maybe a bye. NFC, still a lot of things to happen this offseason, but I expect San Francisco to be back here. I also expect Kansas City to be back here as long as 15 is at quarterback, right, Laraib?
Yes, Lewis. As long as 15 is at quarterback, the Chiefs
Acknowledge
will be
him.
back here.
Acknowledge my tribal chief. Anyway, um, any other big super? First off, the game was incredible. Commercials pretty mid. I mean, I just remember like there were no like fun commercial. That's what I miss. The fun, goofy humor, that type of commercial. It just seemed like, I don't know. It takes me out of, oh wait, this is just corporate shelling for advertisement. Like I'm supposed to be pissed off by this or tuning it out. But I want to be locked in. I like the commercials. Nothing interesting happened.
Shout
Movie
out
trailers.
Timu.
Shout out. Yeah, really. I mean, I think everyone got a nice shout out from Timu last night. Um, movie trailers, some exciting stuff. Nothing too crazy though. Looking
No,
forward to
no
Deadpool.
Spider-Man trailer. You
No
know,
Spider-Man trailer. Yeah, so that's probably 2025, unfortunately. And then, you know, halftime. Okay.
kind of
We
reminded me
played.
a lot of the Super Bowl. Really mid start and an awesome finish.
Yeah, that's a fair statement. I was just, you have your favorite songs from these artists, and you hope they get played. And when they don't, you feel a little sad. But overall, yeah, it was weird. It's like, why aren't you on the stage? You're just on the field with a bunch of dancers singing a song that no one can sing along with you. But then he brought Luda out, and then he brought Little John out, and then all right, head started going up and down. Overall, though, awesome Super Bowl. What a fantastic finish. Mahomes, the Chiefs win it. And for our final episode of the year, Larav, you got anything else you want to talk about? Anything we missed on that Super Bowl?
Not about this Super Bowl, Lewis, but the next one that is going to be right here in Nolans. Are we going to be there, Lewis?
Yeah, all right. If you want to fund the First and Goal podcast trip to the Super Bowl, Patreon will be in the link below. No, I mean obviously I'd love to be there. We're gonna be doing stuff during that week. We will. You're gonna have to get a freaking apartment down here or something. Um, but yeah, we'll be the guys on Radio Row walking around. Oh, hey, freaking come over here, Justin Jefferson. Come talk to us about the season. So yeah, we'll be there. Hey, you want to plug anything? You said Subway, right? So that'll be us next year. But yeah, and then right now, we could change this, but why not? Let's have fun. Who's going to be in this game next season, Laura? In New
Next
Orleans.
year in New Orleans, it is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles battling against Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills.
You are insane, and I love it. I am unfortunately picking against my tribal chief. Going 3 in a row is crazy, right? I believe in the Cincinnati Bengals to get their mojo back. They will be in this game, and they will be tossing it with the Dallas Cowboys, who will finally
Oh,
break
hey,
through.
that's not happening.
Bengals Cowboys Super Bowl. That's pretty fun, though, huh?
Oh,
I
that'd
want
be a
this.
very fun game.
I bet. Hey, there's a lot of stuff to happen this offseason. If the Saints start making some moves, I don't know, Jim. Um, but there's so much to get into. We're gonna be taking a little bit of a break. We might do some videos around draft time, free agency, breaking down big moves. But we will obviously be back for next football season. Again, thank you all so, so, so very much for enjoying this ride with us, this journey that we've been on. If you've made it this far, we just want to thank y'all so much. We love being able to do this, talk football with each other, and then being able to post it for y'all to see. We had our biggest view numbers this year, and when we really weren't advertising that much, y'all just found us, y'all supported. So really big shout out to you guys. It's been a super fun year to cover this sport, and what a fantastic finish to the year.
Yeah, Lewis, I agree with everything you said, and hopefully we continue to go for many years to come. But I think this is the First and Goal podcast signing off for the 2023-2024 season.
Peace.